Welcome to episode 81 of Central Intelligence Cinema. Today we are back with a brand new intel report for you, covering the latest in spy television intel as well as a heaping helping of Bond, which includes the latest trailer for 007 First Light. So let's get into it, shall we? Take it away, Pierce.
Beg your pardon, forgot to knock.
Welcome to the CIC, initiating security clearance.
My name is Napoleon Solo. Bond. James Bond.
Natasha Romanoff.
Ethan Hunt.
Felix Leiter.
Elsa Faust. Identity confirmed.
Now, pay attention, 007.
Welcome to Central Intelligence Cinema, a podcast dedicated to spy movies and secret agent pop culture.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Do you expect me to talk?
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
Yeah, baby!
Special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
But remember, nothing ever goes according to plan.
Tom, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British hand up, sir. The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Recording from a still under construction but otherwise fully operational undisclosed location, it's the Central Intelligence Cinema Podcast. I'm Jason Greenberg, and with me, as always, Ben Esslinger.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. And welcome back to the CIC, the spy movie podcast that is getting its game on today, baby.
Oh, yeah.
It is game on. Game on.
Is it game on?
It's game on.
Okay.
Eventually.
Sure. I like the enthusiasm.
Whenever it drops, but it's game on. But yes, we are back in the fully functional-esque undisclosed location.
I mean, it's working. It's working.
It's working. It's kind of working. It's sort of working. We're figuring out,
I mean,
there might
even
be some
Emperor's...
updates. There might be some updates to the software.
I mean, it just looks unfinished on the outside, but really, the Emperor of the Central Intelligence Cinema Podcast put all the effort into getting the planet-destroying laser fully functional, so it would be deceptive to the Rebel podcasts. That's
right. That's right.
It must be Sunday.
Aren't we a spy?
Yeah. Well, many Bothan spies died to get that information, but
that's fair. That's fair. There are okay.
But actually, because there are spies in Return of the Jedi, doesn't that technically make it a spy film?
Oh, jeez. Okay. Here we go again with more loopholes.
We have infiltrations, right? We all fly in our super secret shuttle mission down to Endor, and things.
That is true.
Just say. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll table this one until we run out of other material to do, and then we can pick this conversation back up.
I think it's going to be a while.
8 or 9 years. It'll be the very last.
Yeah, about
one.
8 or 9 years. Yeah, we may read the very last podcast right before we shuffle off into the ether. We'll then do Return of the Jedi.
We'll do Return of the Jedi and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because they're both sort of spy adjacent-ish. Through additional clarifications, we'll just call it the double Lucas double feature, and we'll roll off into the sunset.
Those will be fun because you will skewer Return of the Jedi, and I will skewer Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I mean, if we did bonus features, we would definitely have done those already.
Oh, yes. But yes, today we are back in the saddle with a brand new intel report for you. Lots of stuff been going on since you made your visit out here to the undisclosed location, and we did our little Mission Impossible mission.
Hardly little.
Yeah, that was a big one. But yeah, we've got all sorts of stuff, a lot of Bond stuff to talk about. But we got other stuff to talk about too. So should we get into some intel, buddy?
Let's do it.
Looking for a news story?
Impress me.
Transmitting CIC Intel dossier.
They'll print anything these days.
Okay, Intel. So we're going to kick it off here with some television stuff that's going on. It's coming very, very soon that I think is pretty exciting. First of all, Slow Horses. We mentioned actually in our last Intel that season 5 of Slow Horses is coming, but now there's an actual release date, September 24th. to Apple TV Plus. And it's also now been revealed that Nick Mohammed, who you may remember from Ted Lasso, if you watch that, the guy who played Nathan Shelley, the guy who starts out as the kit man for Ted Lasso's AFC Richmond and then eventually becomes the head coach of the evil coach of West Ham. So he is now coming to the show. So that will be really interesting. I wonder if they will play him to a certain type. But I mean, he's proven that he can play both types. So it'll be curious. I'll be curious to see if he's like a bad guy or a good guy. Or my money's on bad guy. But
yeah, let's see. I mean, it's not that I think of him as a bad guy. But I feel like if you're going to put him, I don't think you need any more, comic relief. So he's certainly not going to be playing the hapless guy who's brilliant but doesn't know it. Because that sure wouldn't be much of a stretch for him at this point.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've already got Gary Oldman in there just being Gary Oldman and farting and being obnoxious. And you've got the tech nerd Roddy Ho, the guy who's just kind of this lecherous dude who's... So it's like, you don't really need any more of those type characters. So I kind of think he's probably going to be a bad guy. And speaking of Roddy Ho, he has a huge part in the new season. The little blurb in Deadline says, in season 5, everyone is suspicious when resident tech nerd Roddy Ho has a glamorous new girlfriend. But when a series of increasingly bizarre events occur across the city, it falls to the slow horses to work out how everything is connected. After all, Lamb knows that in a world of espionage, the London rules, cover your back, always applies.
Not the Chicago rules.
Not the Chicago rule. What is the Chicago rule?
Well, one of theirs comes at you with a knife, you go at one of his with a gun. If they put one of yours in the hospital, you put one of them with a morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Also, no ketchup on hot dogs.
Or you will end up with a knife and a gunshot wound while you're in the hospial and then get wheeled off to the morgue where you'll get chopped up into little tiny, teeny pieces and never be seen again.
And then made into hot dogs.
Ew.
Ew.
Probably.
Anyway. Next up, there's a brand new spy thriller series that is coming to Prime Video on August 13th called Butterfly, which stars Daniel Day Kim, who you may know from the show Lost. Very interesting, angular-looking individual.
Yeah.
But the show is based on a graphic novel series from Arash Amel, and the show is written by showrunner Ken Woodruff, who is known for The Mentalist and Gotham, and alongside novelist Steph Cha. It's got 6 episodes that all come to the Prime platform at once, which I'm surprised that they're still doing that sort of thing, just like the total dump. But it's
hit or miss. They don't do that with everything.
That's true. And I wonder, too, if it's one of those things where the things that they have maybe less confidence in, they just dump them all at once.
Yeah,
that's kind of, I don't know. And I know that,
it would be an intriguing strategy if you think about it, because I know that those things are monitored in some capacity. Not like the traditional Nielsen's, but I know that they do ratings, and it would probably make more sense to dump something that could be questionable all at once to bump up those numbers, because people are going to be more willing to stick with it if they can get to more rather than drop off week to week.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it does, just based on the stills that they released of the show, it's definitely a very specific niche audience, so that would kind of make sense. The first 2 episodes are directed by Kitao Sakurai, who was a director on the show Dave, the Eric Andre show, as well as the TV adaptation of Twisted Metal, which is actually coming back for season 2. It's a cool show. Anyway, the basic idea of this show is given in a recent Deadline article that says, Butterfly is a character-driven spy thriller that explores complex family dynamics within the treacherous world of global espionage. It's centered on David Young, played by Kim, an enigmatic, highly unpredictable former U.S. intelligence operative living in South Korea whose life is blown to pieces when the consequences of an impossible decision from his past come back to haunt him, and he finds himself pursued by Rebecca, played by Raina Hardesty, a deadly sociopathic young agent assigned to kill him, and Cadiz, the sinister spy organization she works for.
Good heavens, man. Does Deadline know how to use a period?
That was a mouthful.
This writer gets paid by the comma. Holy shit. That wasn't a run-on sentence. That was a marathon sentence.
It really was. But
I'm surprised you didn't have to do some breathing exercises before that. Do you need a water?
No, I did some. I did.
Do you need a stretch?
I did some calisthenics. I might.
Okay.
I might need to stretch.
Did you get your heart rate up a little before that, just in case? Wow.
Yeah, I had to warm up before I got on here.
Wow, they will let anybody write for anything these days, won't they?
They really will. I mean, it looks pretty cool. I mean,
it sounds cool.
I didn't see a trailer, but it's basically kind of, one of the things that I read in the article is that Daniel Day Kim was really excited because it's sort of this blending hybrid of American and Korean storytelling. So it's got a little blend of that going on. So I'm kind of curious to see what the vibe is as far as like how this plays out. If it's got kind of a dare I say woo as fuck type thing going on, or if it's more like straightforward, or the pictures sort of indicate that it is pretty action heavy.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah. Some of the other actors highlighted include Kim Ji-hoon, Charles Darnell, Piper Perabo, Park Hae-soo, Louis Landau, and Gina Teresa Williamson. But I mean, like from the pictures that I saw in both Deadline and I think I saw an article about it in Collider as well. But it looks kind of cool. It might be like a fun, kind of perfect for the middle of the summer, popcorny.
Or that lull in between the two shows you actually want to watch.
Right.
You gotta wait on Disney Plus for that next thing to come out. What the hell am I gonna watch on Tuesday now? Oh, I'll watch this.
But now, Jason. Bond intel.
Woo!
Boy, there is a lot of Bond intel to talk about because all the things are now happening. Now that MGM has taken over, MGM and Amazon have taken over, all the Bond things are now happening. They're all happening at once. But I will say that most of the things that we got to talk about, most of them are not even actually dropping until next year sometime. They're just announcing it to try and like start to get people
generate
hyped
the
up.
uproar.
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing we got here is Hot Toys recently revealed the first of its new line of James Bond figures. That first one being the Daniel Craig No Time to Die figure, complete with aged Daniel Craig in a tuxedo. I feel like it's the safe option that they went with, and yet at the same time, I feel like it's not the smart option, even though it's the, you know what I mean? Like I get it. It's like a safe option, but it's not the smart option in my opinion.
So the thing I like about the Big Chief ones, of which you have a couple, is you got Sean Connery from Goldfinger. You do have a tux option. They did make the one from Dr. No where he's in a tuxedo. But you get the tweed suit that looks, that's what I want. I want to see James Bond out of a tux. That's why I like the Roger Moore one so good, much from Live and Let Die. He's got the black turtleneck. He looks like a badass spy. You're right. The tuxedo is sort of like, well, I suppose if we're going to make a Clark Kent action figure, we should put him in a blue suit with a red tie. We wouldn't want to go against type. And I mean, given how particularly, maybe all the other ones were very fashionable too, but let's face it, everything from Roger Moore was garbage because it had bell bottoms on it. But out of all the Bonds that were out there, I feel like Daniel Craig was the most fashion forward one in terms of what he was wearing other than the tuxedos.
Exactly. I mean, you could have put him in all kinds of great outfits. Like, imagine if he was wearing like the what is that jacket that he wears? It's like a racer jacket in Quantum of Solace.
Yep.
Or I mean, there's a million.
Even the tactical gear from No Time to Die would have been better from the end of the movie.
Exactly. If you're gonna do No Time to Die, put him in that weird sweater with all the tactical stuff and all that. That would have been far more interesting.
And then maybe include a little tuxedo to come, on the side you can change him into. I don't know.
It's just, it just felt very safe. Hopefully they'll get smart and come out with, I don't know. Even choosing No Time to Die, even choosing that movie of the Craig movies. If you're going to stay with Craig, which that I get that part of it because that's what everybody knows. That's what the younger generation is going to associate with James Bond. But at least, I mean, pick Casino Royale, pick Skyfall. I don't know. It just feels like, again, it's just, I know they're going with what is most recently in people's minds, but at the same time, it's like,
yeah,
that's.
I mean, if they really wanted to dangle me into getting a No Time to Die action figure, Leia Sadu one probably would have worked a little better for me. Or maybe even an Ana de Armas one probably would have worked. Actually, even a Jeffrey Wright one would have probably worked better for me.
I absolutely would get a Felix.
You know what would be funny is if this Hot Toys thing really takes off, that they just start making all the Felix lighters.
That'd be amazing.
So you get a Jack Lord and you get a David Hedison. And
that'd be amazing.
Whoever the actor was from Goldfinger that nobody knows. But eventually you just get 5 versions of Jeffrey Wright. The last one with a big bullet hole in his abdomen.
Oh, God. I need that in my life.
What I'm really hoping for, a good Timmy Tim.
Oh, my gosh.
And
I know.
A good Pierce.
I'm telling you, I need a Living Daylights Hot Toys. That would be amazing. It would
I
sell.
definitely want a Robert Davi License to Kill one, so he has all the little acne scars.
Yes, exactly.
Carved into the face for the sculpt. It'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I really hope they go there. God, I hope they go there.
Well, I've seen Hot Toys. They milk it if it's good. So if this thing sells for them, there will be all sorts of options. We're going to get Woody Allen as James Bond if it works enough.
Yeah, we'll get the 1962. But this particular figure that is actually not even due out until sometime between April and September of 2026.
Yep.
It is set to have, like I said, aged Daniel Craig in a tuxedo, 2 different pistols, his usual Walther, and the other one looked like a Glock maybe to me. I don't know what the other.
I don't remember
what the other pistol was, and then the machine gun that he used in No Time to Die. Has separate rolling eyeballs, and listen, I don't own any Hot Toys figures, so I'm not familiar with that. That's like a thing? That's like a normal thing to be able to change the eyeball directions and everything?
There's usually a little switch in the back of the head, or it's magnetic, and the eyeballs,
okay.
They roll in tandem, but it's so you can make sideways glances, you can have them looking up. Most of them, you can roll the eyeballs all the way back if you want to go like demon-possessed James Bond. But they actually started adding that feature about 5 years ago. So like the 2 that I have,
all I know is the one, the pictures.
It's a little off.
The eyes looked a little cross-eyed, like a little, what's going on with James Bond in this picture?
Well, you know what they do with Hot Toys? So they do a master sculpt, and a master paint, and that's what you see when they put all the pictures in. So
when they show
sometimes,
the promotional.
Sometimes the final. I've seen a couple of them where they hadn't got final approval from the person they were creating the likeness of.
Right.
So it looks like somebody, but not just because the sculptors at Hot Toys are amazing. I know it's a lot of computers and lasers and things involved, but then they get these artists that do the actual sculpts on them, and they're fabulous. So you see those ones that are like, I mean, maybe that's Bill Ford, Harrison Ford's cousin, but that's not Harrison Ford. And then you see the actual one when it releases, and it's much better.
Gotcha.
But sometimes the hardware doesn't really work on those master ones as much, I think, as when they get it out into production. Because I've seen a few loopy-eyed Scarlett Johanssons in my day on their website, which I'm like, wow, okay. She must be wearing contacts? I don't know.
Sure. But it also includes this was a weird inclusion, a cigar tube. Honestly, you know what it is? I have only seen No Time to Die like twice ever, just because
One of them was with me.
Exactly. And so my memory of the movie is a little fuzzy. But it includes a cigar tube, a watch, 8 interchangeable hands, and like I mentioned, the guns. But yeah, it goes for a cool $260 for the pre-orders on Sideshow. But I don't know. I'm excited to see what the next thing is that they release. Yeah. I'm hoping that.
You want to put any money on it?
Oh, boy.
You want to bet some CIC cash on this one?
CIC cash? Well, it's going to be
five CIC bucks. Pierce Brosnan.
You think so?
I think they're going to go backwards.
I think that would be the smart move. I think people have been clamoring for a Pierce figure for ages.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to do Pierce, then they're going to do Raj, and I'm gonna say Moonraker Raj, not Live and Let Die Raj.
That'd be amazing. How cool would that be?
Then I think we get another Raj, but I don't know which. I guess you could do Live and Let Die because it could just be, or not Live and Live and Let Die. View to a
the
Kill.
Spy Who Loved Me. Oh, View to a Kill. Oh, because, we get old Raj.
All you need
Seasoned
is
Raj.
All you need is a skeleton with a hairpiece and a suit, and it would be much cheaper for them to do that. But then after we get 2 Rajas, then we get a Timmy Tim.
You think so?
Yeah. Then we get a Sean.
I don't know if they'll wait that long. I feel like Sean is just so quintessentially Bond.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But
we'll see.
Pierce is going to be next because there's been an outcry for a Pierce, right? Because they basically, Big Chief kind of was getting to that point, and then they shut down. So there is a market already out there of Sean Connerys and Rogers. So I feel like...
And we've had this whole Brosnaissance that's going on right now.
Yes.
The photos of him with Aston Martin, the fact that he's been on that Mobland show.
Yeah.
He's just looking the part on Instagram all the time, almost like he's auditioning to play the role again. So it's like,
right.
I feel like he's ripe for a figure, for like an action figure. So
and you have to think the people that are now spending the money on these figures, that's the Bond they grew up with.
Absolutely. I mean, the millennial crowd is who's going to buy these the most. So
right, except for old farts like me.
Well, that's like me. I mean, I'm waiting for Timmy Tim. So
all I'm gonna say is, if they make a Zorn one,
oh my goodness, that would be. We need to start petitioning for a Zorin right now.
if they're gonna do Bond villains, I don't care about the rest. Well, I wouldn't mind having a Silva one either.
Silva
so we
would
get
be
father
amazing.
and son together,
complete with a stretchy face.
Yeah,
thing.
They could change faces on them too. They'll give you different heads.
Oh, there you go.
So you could put the head with the like. But I just
look at what you have done, mother.
No. Exactly. I have always wanted a Christopher Walken action figure, and I don't think I could do better than that.
That would be
I would just parade it around
pinnacle.
everywhere going, hey, look what happened. I got shrunk. Ooh, but I'm tiny. I could go places I couldn't go before. It's great.
All right, well, moving on.
Moving on.
Well, we got to talk about some literary Bond stuff real quick.
Literary Bond.
We've had a lot of movement in the Bond book department. Firstly, Raymond Benson's ebook, The Hook in the Eye, which according to Ian Fleming Publications, follows Felix Leiter in 1952 after Felix loses his job at the CIA and finds himself working for the Pinkerton Detective Agency. What starts as a simple surveillance job turns into a matter of life and death when Felix stumbles upon a murder and a cabal of spies embedded in Manhattan. Hired to transport the impossibly beautiful and impossibly secretive Dora from New York to Texas, Felix is thrust into a non-stop adventure where danger and deceit lie in wait around every bend in the road. So that is the blurb.
Soy Felix! Donde está Felix now?
It's basically a road trip with starring Felix Leiter.
And Dora the Explorer.
But it's interesting, the release of this, like it's being released as like a serial ebook where the chapters are doled out every 2 weeks. And there's no hard copy available for almost a year, I think. I forget what the release date is. I didn't have that in my notes. But this, basically, the first chapter is out now, and they even made it available for free to hear it read by Raymond Benson himself on YouTube. So it's kind of cool in that respect. So if you don't want to pay anything, or you can just have Raymond Benson read it to you.
You know what they say, the first taste is always free.
This is true. But, I mean, that is a book that I would be interested in diving into a little bit. I love a good Felix Leiter adventure.
Well, the best part about it's going to find out why he got fired and why James Bond was responsible.
Exactly. Which that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
This next book, though, there's been some mixed reactions on the internet about this one, and we will see how this plays out. But Ian Fleming Publications announced that a book entitled James Bond and the Secret Agent Academy will be released in June of 2026, written by bestselling crime writer M.W. Craven. The book is geared towards readers aged 8 through 12. So my question is, are we going to get Alex Rider, or are we going to get like Hogwarts for MI6, where it's how to make the perfect martini and learning to be an overly promiscuous killer? You know, it's like, how is this going to go down? I mean, I understand the why they're doing it. They're trying to bring in younger fans to the James Bond universe, but James Bond has never really been for kids. And so it's
a weird flex.
Yeah. And it's strange too that this is coming from Ian Fleming Publications, not
Amazon.
Yeah, not Amazon. This is from Ian Fleming Publications. So I'm just sort of like, why? They've continued to make moves that make me scratch my head lately. The thing is that if you do it as Alex Rider, it would be interesting, but that means you would do it a young Bond. And that's not what this is. This is the other thing I forgot to mention is that this is basically Bond retired and teaching younger kids basically how to be a spy. So it's like, gather around, children. I'm James Bond, and I'm going to teach you how to be a spy. And it's just like, oh, really?
So kind of like a little bit like Kingsman, maybe, without all the violence.
Right. I mean, maybe it's like that, only skewed even younger. It's a weird one, but we'll see how that plays out.
I don't know. At least it's not a choose your own adventure book.
Oh my goodness.
If you want James Bond to go into the secret cave, go to page 17.
Do you want Bond to sleep with Pushy Galore?
Go to page 9.
Page 5.
Do you want him to sleep with Honey Rider? Go to page 6. If you wanted to sleep with both, go to page 69.
Boom. And now, Jason.
Yes.
We got to talk about the big docket ticket here.
Oh, Ethan Hunt as James Bond?
Because we recently got our first look at the new James Bond video game in development from IO Interactive, known for their Hitman game. But they just dropped the trailer for 007 First Light. We've got this new Bond who, as you said, you thought looked a little bit like Ethan Hunt. I thought he looked like Jack Quaid from The Boys.
True.
The internet has been likening him to Tom Holland, as well as the one that's really latched on is this Irish actor named Patrick Gibson. And I saw a picture of this guy. He looks exactly like this character in the video game. So, and they are going to eventually release who the actors are that are being portrayed in the video game. So we will have an answer eventually.
Could be that guy.
I kind of think it is Patrick Gibson, but it's weird that they chose the literary Bond accurate scar on his face, but then they chose to make him look nothing like how Ian Fleming actually described how Bond looked. It's just sort of an interesting, we're going to choose this, but not this part of it. Oh, I should also mention, too, that Patrick Gibson is most known for his role as young Dexter in the revised Dexter series, Dexter Original Sin. So that's
which,
who that
by
guy
the way,
is.
Spot on picture or performance that he did on that one, capturing what's his face that played the original Dexter.
Oh,
Michael,
yeah. I
whatever
forget what
his
that
name
guy's
is.
name.
But not only the performance, but he looks like him. It's very troubling, actually.
I'll have to go back and check that out. According to IO Interactive CEO Hakan Abrak, the game is not part of the film canon, but rather a standalone reimagined interpretation, which I'm glad that that's been established. Like that,
yes.
That we don't have to have these arguments about, oh, well, why would Bond do this now? And how are we supposed to, like all that stuff. It's like, let's not have that discussion.
Yeah. It's okay for them to have a separate James Bond franchise as video games. Because you think about it, if this does really well, then you get another one and he's a little older. You get another one, he's a little older. You can just keep having adventures with that James Bond without interfering with what's happening in the movies.
Absolutely. In a blurb on IO Interactive's website, it said, for the first time ever, fans will be able to experience Bond's ascent at MI6 from a young 26-year-old recruit into a full-fledged spy. immersing them in the exotic and dangerous world of espionage captured in the films. Bond's adventures will take players all around the globe coming face to face with allies and foes, or in some cases both, while choosing how they overcome obstacles and challenges, whether it be with brute force, cunning guile, or charming wit. But so what did you think of this trailer? Just before we really get into it, what was your first take on it? Because you're more of a video game guy than I am, really.
Well, it looks like it's made by IO Interactive. I know that's not saying much, but it looks like it's going to be very enjoyable. To be honest with you, I don't know. The last James Bond game that I played wasn't GoldenEye. It was whatever that last game I think was, and it was terrible. I hated it. The driving mechanics were bad. The storyline wasn't great. But this one, at least, I think this game is far enough away from James Bond-diness that it's just going to be a straight-up really enjoyable action shooter game that should be fun to play. I was excited to see Lenny James in there as the guy that's arguing with M.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm wondering how many other English actors might pop up in the game as it goes through.
Yeah, that'll be curious to see. So we'll kind of go through this a little bit. So initially in the trailer, we go right to the mountain scene, just sort of giving you the whole background about Bond and the mountain climbing incident where his parents die in order to save him, so he's orphaned. And then from there, a little bit more of his background, that he's been shifted around to different boarding schools and that he's really smart and he's always at the top of his class, but he always has sort of this attitude and that sort of thing. And this is all, like you were talking about, this is all while it's sort of this argument between M and, what was the name of the actor you said?
Lenny James.
Between M and Lenny James, they're sitting there arguing about whether Bond should be in this 00 program. We hear something about how he was part of a mission in Iceland that went kind of wrong, kind of crazy, but it was successful. But Lenny James is arguing that he was insubordinate and lucky that he got away with it. And M is saying, well, that's exactly why we want him in the program. And then we get this little quote from her where she says, Bond is a bullet without a target. Let's give him one. Ooh. And so that leads to the reveal of Bond's face, where we've already talked about our thoughts about who he looks like. Very different from the Bond we all sort of know. But I will say that the chatter on the internet about Bond's look feels a bit much. It's a video game. And we need a new look for Bond. He doesn't have to be exactly, especially in a video game. It'd be one thing if we're talking about a film and he looks drastically different. That might raise some eyebrows, but I digress. So then we get this introduction to whom I can only surmise is Moneypenny, because she's sort of Naomi Harris in the Bizarro World, as Moneypenny-esque. And then we see Q, who I thought kind of looked like Vincent Price with a full head of hair. I mean, I don't know if you have any other thoughts about that guy. Maybe Ted Danson. I don't know.
I looked like they were trying to go for John Cleese height. I don't know where the rest of it was coming from, though.
Yeah. Then we get this shameless product placement of an Omega watch, which is fine. I mean, I even saw something on Instagram where they were proud about all of their advertisers that are part of this game or whatever, which is good because you need the money to pay the engineers and the designers and everything else. So,
if the movies aren't shameless enough to do it, why not video games?
Exactly.
You'll probably be walking past on a cutscene holding a Heineken. Just, hello.
And then we get some combat training. I like the little moment where Bond does like a brush pass and steals that guy's phone. And there's like a little close-up of that and some like shooting and jumping and running, climbing trees, all that sort of thing. And then in the middle of all that, we hear about this new mission that's announced by M, and she needs all of her. They use this whole chess game analogy where she says, like, I need all my pieces out on the playing field or whatnot. And we see some shots of gameplay. The basic story, it sounds like, is 009 is like this traitor or has switched sides. So we're kind of getting a GoldenEye type of thing here.
009. What an asshole.
Fucking 009, man. At least it's not Alex Trevelyan, though. Like, at least they like chose. I mean, it's still basically the same. It's the same premise. It's GoldenEye, but at least as far as the villain goes. So then we see there's a shot I saw in there where he kicks a guy over the balcony that looks really similar to a shot from Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning when they're at that nightclub outside or whatever. We get some charming one-liners where he's in the hotel room and everything is in disarray, and the maid comes in and he's like, "Jet lag gets me every time," and then he walks away. And then we get this shot where I think he's on like a boat or something, and you hear, "She's an asset, Bond, not your friend," and he's like, "To hell with that." And so it sort of lets us in that there's going to be some sort of love interest that, oh, but you're not friends, yada, 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 which is always how this goes down.
Uh-huh.
But, and then they begin their campaign to win the older audience, because it switches gears and immediately we're seeing a yellow Aston Martin V8. I think it's a V8, and it's tearing through what looks to be the Swiss Alps, a la On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And we even get the theme song from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And we get that theme actually through the rest of the trailer. So he's driving around the Alps, and that's very fun. And I hope we do get to drive the Aston Martin.
I hope we get to drive several.
Yes. And the speedboat, which we then see out in Vietnam near Scaramanga's Island, a la The Man with the Golden Gun, which I do like that they're using some of those very iconic locations from some of the movies, even though it is clearly dialed in to appeal to me, to appeal to the audience that is me. So, and then we get some schmoozing ladies, we get some Thunderball style underwater stuff, but quickly, less boring. And then more girls, and then we get swords and a little bit of almost Pierce Brosnan-y sword action real quick. And then he does the turn around and shoot, very much like the gun barrel, and the title card of 007 First Light. And then we get this little after title card moment where, so it's Bond and the Lenny James character, they're hanging upside down, and there's alligators underneath him. And the last little quote from Bond is, "I suppose this is another teachable moment." And then we're done. So I don't know. It's a fun trailer. And I think this is probably the first new Bond game in a very long time. It's actually worth playing.
Oh, yeah.
So, and what's funny is I literally, I bought a PS5 when I heard the very first announcement that IO was going to make a Bond video game. And I'm starting to feel like by the time this game actually makes its way to the stores, the PS5 will be replaced by a PS6. I'm half expecting that to happen.
Nah, it'll be fine.
But this should be interesting. I think, especially too in the age of adding additional expansion things and to be able to add new adventures and that sort of thing. That would be fun once you get past like the initial arc. Give them some additional side quests and what have you.
Well, I kind of liken it to the Indiana Jones game that got released earlier this year. Which was a good game. I didn't pay for it because they got it on Xbox through Game Pass. They've got an expansion coming for it that I'll probably pay for the expansion to play a little more Indiana Jones. It was fun, but the replayability of it wasn't so great. So I'm looking forward to new missions to get attached to it. And I suspect this one may probably be very similar. It'll be good to go through once and then maybe to go through and get whatever collectibles that are stuck in there. But unless they're going to release downloadable content, it may not be a barn burner for a while.
Yeah, so we'll see. There's no release date for this thing, and I know that the timetable for video games tends to be very long as far as from the time that they tease them to the time that it actually makes its way out. So I mean, we'll see.
It did look, they've got the cutscenes done. They've got gameplay done. So that means it's probably at least 2/3 of the way there. I would suspect we'll probably see it next year.
You think next year still?
Yeah.
Because I was hopeful that maybe it'd be ready in time for Christmas, but maybe not. Maybe we'll
we'll find out, won't we?
Indeed. And speaking of expansion downloadable content, the final little bit of Bond intel that we do have is that Mads Mikkelsen has reprised his role as Le Chiffre in the new Banker expansion downloadable content for IO's Hitman game. So yeah, in this new little expansion pack, Le Chiffre is the new target for good old Agent 47. So
there was a little bit of handshaking going on there.
I do think, now I will say I saw a trailer for that as well. The graphics are a little low budgety looking by comparison to the Bond trailer.
Well, I don't know how.
Maybe once it.
I don't know how new Hitman is, to be honest with you. I don't think there's been a new Hitman game for a minute. They just keep putting DLC and stuff on it.
Oh yeah, I mean Hitman's been around for quite a while.
I mean the current iteration, the current version of the game. I think it's been around for 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so it could just be one of those things where that's what works within the constructs of the current Hitman game.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, it's kind of interesting. I mean, clearly Mads decided to cash in and, I mean, video games are huge. I mean, that's how Tony Hawk made his millions. So
well, and he probably, unless there's some speaking roles that he actually participated in, he probably just had to give his likeness and his voice. So that's an easy, $500,000.
Yeah.
We can't keep depending on all of that Rogue One money.
That's right.
One does wonder if Agent 47, the Hitman, is going to get his balls smacked with a rope, though. What if it was like a little playable level where you remember how like in the track and field games where you had to get the meter up, from green to red, and you're just winding up the rope as Le Chiffre, and wham! I would play the game for that.
I as well. I'll be curious to see too, given that Hitman is part of IO's property, if we get some sort of expansion that allows Hitman to interact within 007 First Light eventually as well.
Or
once First Light comes out.
Maybe wouldn't it be funny if there was a whole thing where you were competing with another assassin and it turns out to be him?
Yeah, it turns out to be 47. That would be interesting. But that's pretty much everything in the dossier for now. It's a little bit short and sweet. Figure we'd shoot in, shoot out, and then be on our way. But as always, to our tens of listeners, we're always looking for interaction. So if you do have some first impressions of this 007 First Light, or if there was a bit of intel that we somehow missed, or you just want to give us a good recipe for a pizza, we're open to everything, really.
We just want the interaction.
That's right. So on email, it's cicdeaddrop@gmail.com. On Instagram, it's Central Intelligence Cinema, separated by underscores, is the same on Threads. And on Blue Sky, it's cicspypod.bsky.social. And there's a whole slew of other socials that we're on. And you can find the links to all of them at the bottom of the show description of this very episode. So, yeah, tell us something. If you have a nice recipe for a roast, that'd be nice too.
Maybe really moist cupcakes.
That's right. Really moist. Anything you got. Just throw it at us. I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down. Do you have any last thoughts, Jason?
I do not have any last thoughts. All of my thoughts have currently escaped me.
Well, with that, I'm Ben.
And I'm Jason.
And the CIC will return with more missions, more martinis,
and more mayhem.